So why doesn't God just show up, manifest himself so that we can see him with our eyes and ears, hear him with our ears in person, so that people will say, God exists, and they will believe in him? Why doesn't he just do that and end the debate? We'll answer that today in God's Average Guy. You are a spirit. You are not this astronaut suit called the flesh. And one day, this is going to be dead. This is not eternal, but the spirit that lives inside of you is eternal. And it's with your spirit that you believe God. That's where you believe God from. You don't believe God with your five senses, right? So I'm going to tell you right off that God is making an appeal to the real you, which is your spirit man. That is what you believe God with. You know, when Jesus was the Son of God, so he did come one time, manifested in the flesh 2,000 years ago, and there were people who read these scriptures and they still didn't accept the flesh version of Jesus, of God, God in the flesh. They denied him. They knew the scriptures and they still denied him. Their five senses was not enough because they needed to believe in their heart. So that's what God is appealing to you. So let me start right here. Let me share with Romans 8. This is a good place to start. Paul lays down the intent. This is what I want to share. So it starts with verse 1. Therefore there is now no condemnation for those in Christ Jesus. Okay, that's another conversation there, but it begins there. But listen to this closely. Why God doesn't appeal to your flesh, your five senses, why he doesn't show up, is right here in chapter 8. For those who are according to the flesh, walking according to the flesh, five senses, set their minds on things of the flesh. But those who are walking according to the Spirit, they will have their thoughts, their minds set on the Spirit. A mind set on the flesh is death. God doesn't want death for you. No, he wants life. He wants life. So if he appeals to your five senses, he's bringing death into your life. This is a dying body anyway. But the mind that's set on the Spirit is what? Life and peace. Because the mind set on the flesh is hostile toward God. Ooh, so if God appeals to your five senses in your flesh, you'll become hostile toward God. Remember the ones that were there, seeing Jesus, they were hostile to the point that they had him crucified. For the mind set on the flesh does not subject itself to the law of God, for it is not even able to do so. See, your mind's not able to do this. Your flesh, your mind set on the flesh is not able to do this. And those who are in the flesh, they can't please God. But you are in the Spirit, and in the flesh, you're not in the flesh if you're a believer in Jesus, but you're in the Spirit, and if indeed the Spirit of God dwells in you, if he does, by faith. But if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to God, and you have the Spirit of Christ by believing, using your spirit, not your five senses. So that's the reason. That's the big reason. I'm going to share a couple other things real quick, but like and share this video right now before you go and stop the video. Like and share it. Share it, especially if you know someone asking this question. Now let's go on to the next thing here. Jesus said that we're going to have a day where we worship God in spirit and in truth. Wow, spirit and truth. So when God did come in the flesh, okay, when he did actually do that once, as Jesus, and you could see him, you could touch Jesus, his hands, after he was resurrected, after he finished the work of the cross, he made himself not recognizable to a couple people walking on the road to Emmaus at the very end of Luke. And why did he do that? Well, that's what he wanted us to understand, is he wanted us to walk in the Spirit. Matter of fact, what did Paul say? We live by faith, which comes from the Spirit, and not after our five senses, our sight. That's in 2 Corinthians 5:7. But let me read this briefly, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis. So, the road to Emmaus, there was two people going to a village named Emmaus. Jesus shows up. They're discussing things that they were witnessing, the death of Jesus, and they were disturbed by it. Jesus shows up, he talks to them, he shares with them all bunch of scriptures that are being fulfilled in Jesus. And then they invite him over he goes to their house, sits at their table, breaks bread, and he took the bread and blessed it and breaking it, and they began giving it to him. Then their eyes were open and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They recognized him. But listen closely. Use the eyes of your spirit to listen, ears of your spirit. They said one to another, were not our hearts burning within us while he was speaking to us on the road, when he was explaining the scriptures to us? That burning was not their sight, their smell, ears of hearing, taste, or touch. No, their spirits burned. That is what God is appealing to. And he can't appeal to that if he shows up in person and says, look, I exist, I'm here. Because then it will be pointless. You need your heart to believe. So let's go on. It is the Spirit that speaks in you, written in Matthew 10:20. Okay? We believe, we receive the Spirit of God by faith, or is it by carnal work? Carnal being fleshly. Do we receive it? That's what it says in Galatians 3:1. No, Paul was saying, did you start your salvation with 5 senses, or was it your heart? You started with your heart. That's what God is appealing to you. So we believe with our hearts to salvation. That's what God is appealing to himself. And let me do this here, though. Romans 1, this is important. This is important because, honestly, Romans 1:18, it says, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness, okay, and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. What truth are they suppressing? Let's talk about science. Science can explain what things are made of, but it cannot explain why the universe came into existence. Think about that. I can tell you a lot of they even can't explain everything about the universe, but that's what science can do. It can 5 senses to study something, but they can't tell you the reason why there was nothing and then everything came into existence. Why? All right. Because that which is known about God is evident within you, everybody. For God made it evident to them. The truth is already evident to you. Do you suppress the truth about God in your spirit? For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, eternal power, and divine nature is clearly seen. Look at this beautiful landscape back here. Why is that there? Why does that exist? Maybe someone can tell what it's made of, but why does it exist? It's clearly seen that there's a creator, a designer. For even though they know that there's a God, they do not honor him or give God thanks, but they become futile in their speculations. Wow. Evolution, that's a speculation. And their foolish heart has been darkened. They suppress the truth that they know. They know the truth. They're darkening their hearts. And then they profess to be wise, but they're only making fools of themselves. They exchange the glory of the incorruptible God who exists for an image in the form of a corruptible, the creation. They exchange the truth of God for a lie and worship and serve the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. See, that's what we're doing, is we put our faith in our 5 senses, but the evidence that God exists is the fact that there is this beautiful world that was created by God. Why was the universe created? God is the one who wanted it created. That's an easy answer, but your 5 senses won't answer that. So don't suppress the truth, okay? Don't suppress the truth. So we love God, believe with our hearts and our spirits. God is appealing to that. And if you open your heart and your spirit to God, which is the Holy Bible, which is Jesus Christ, then you're going to find the answers you're looking for. So I'm excited to share this with you guys. Love on God today. And I tell you what, you'll be blessed for it. See you next time on God's Average Guy.